If we take a look at our planet, most specifically our cities, we can know that some are more compact such as Hong Kong, while others are more spread out like Los Angeles. Some rely heavily on public transport, while others were designed with the car culture in mind. Here at the Hive, we came up with a little thought experiment. We decided to create two different kinds of cities and compare their pros and cons. The two categories will be called tall cities and wide cities. Some real-life examples such as New York City, most specifically Manhattan, and Hong Kong, served as inspiration for the tall category, while Los Angeles and Houston helped us to create a good wide city. To start with our tall city, we determined to house a population of millions in a relatively small area. This way, the viable solution to accommodate everyone is to build high-rise apartments and also corporate towers for professionals to work. Since we don't want everyone to go for work at the same place, the city zoning will focus on mixed areas, which have both residential and commercial buildings next to each other. Also worth mentioning, the layouts of the city will follow the grid system such as Manhattan's, which places streets and avenues along the horizontal and vertical directions. As for transportation, the best alternative is to invest heavily in public transportation, such as subways and buses. Because if everyone used their own personal vehicles, the city would probably halt to a stop due to the massive traffic jams. Shared ownership of cars and bicycles would also be encouraged. Also, since residential and commercial buildings are spread out evenly along the city, there is a good chance many people will live in a walking distance of their work. We believe the main idea here is to create a decentralized high-rise city with a good public transportation system. The wide city would have a completely different focus, and its main idea would be to centralize all important areas, such as commercial districts, in the city's core. Also, since the city is spread out, it will require much more land for a population the same size as the tall one. With this in mind, huge investments will go towards building and maintaining roads, since the population will require their own personal vehicles for locomotion. The rest of needed infrastructure such as water, sewage and electricity would also need to be efficiently sorted out in order to cover such a huge area. The zoning system will separate residential areas from commercial and industrial ones, and a good setup of roads and highways would be essential to integrate them. Most of the amenities such as shopping malls would also be located in downtown, and leisure activities outside this region will mainly be comprised of visiting the several parks dotting the suburbs. After setting up both scenarios in our minds, let's head over to the pros and cons of each one. For the tall city, we believe a major pro would be the small distance between millions of people and several companies. This would encourage the creation of huge networks of knowledge and ideas between everyone. For the government in charge, the cost for maintaining public infrastructure is lower since roads, services and utilities would serve citizens who live much closer from each other, and the number of taxpayers per square mile would be considerably high. Also, the proximity between residents and stores would make shopping much more convenient, and, thereby, commercial activity would also thrive. However, inflated housing prices are a major issue that densely populated cities face. Living space is confined, and you can't add floors to buildings that have already been built. Thereby, the struggle between those who own property and those who doesn't would also be a concerning issue. As for the wide cities, one major benefit would be the substantially lower price of housing as opposed to tall cities, at least if we take into account the price per square foot. That means you get more bang for your buck, and probably has the opportunity to live in a big house with a green lawn in a nice suburb. This would be much more difficult in the tall counterpart. However, long hours of traffic will be commonplace in our routine, as pretty much everything you need to do outside your home, such as working, shopping and even going to the cinema or a restaurant, would make you drive all the way to downtown. Although driverless cars are becoming a reality and this technology can reduce the mental stress of driving every day, the cost for fuel and car maintenance would still need to be considered for the residents of the wide city. Also, the sprawling characteristic of the city puts a huge strain on the government's budget to deliver all of the basic amenities and infrastructure for all houses that are so spread apart. One way to counter such issue would be to equip each home with a future technology that allowed them to depend less of the government grid. Some examples could be solar panels combined with batteries, capable of storing energy to power the household at night or during periods of low incidence of sunlight, thus allowing the house to operate less dependable on the general grid. Well everyone, those are the two types of city we came up with. After our brief description, tell us, does your own city looks like more a tall or a wide type? Also, which one do you think suits your taste the most? Don't forget to share your opinions with us. That was it for today everyone, see you next time.